Hello, my name is Connor Hines. I'd like to start off the speech with a scenario. Imagine you're on the highway going 80 miles per hour. It's pretty fast. Now double that speed. Now imagine you're going that speed on the highway, bumper to bumper traffic, and everyone around you is trying to go to the same place. That'd be pretty dangerous, pretty scary, pretty exciting. That in a nutshell is what NASCAR is. But that's not what NASCAR always has been. NASCAR actually originally started in the 1920s during Prohibition. And clearly today, that is not what it is. I've done a lot of research on the change from the Prohibition days to today, as well as I have very close connections with NASCAR drivers myself. Today I will talk about the start of NASCAR and how much it has changed over the years. First, we need to understand where NASCAR came from. In the beginning, NASCAR wasn't meant for racing. The start came from bootleggers driving illegal alcohol all across the country during Prohibition that started in 1920. The bootleggers were getting caught too often, so they decided they needed to change something. That change was to upgrade their cars to outrun the police. In an article by Gene Longhorn called Auto Racing Begins, he talks about the bootleggers who drove. They were actually called runners. They needed to be very skilled and gifted drivers to maneuver mountain roads. This practice of running took place all across the country, but primarily in the North Carolina mountains as well as Virginia. This went on for a few years, and then until Prohibition ended in 1933. But even after that, they still illegally ran alcohol to evade taxes. By then, the drivers were really skilled, the cars were really fast. But then, Ford Motors introduced the V8 engine. That was a game changer. A huge turning point for the industry of bootlegging. Now they had the upper hand. Eventually, all the people upgrading their cars wanted to compare cars, see who had the fastest car. And with that came racing. They started to meet up and race the cars. And that is essentially the beginning of NASCAR. But now that we know about the roots, let's talk about the first race and the growing popularity of the sport. In the article written by Alexa Danner about the history of NASCAR, she talks about the conception of the sport by Bill France Sr. at a meeting in Daytona Beach. They met up and decided to start a full league for stock car racing called NASCAR. Not short after this meeting, the first official stock car race took place on February 15th, 1948 on the Daytona Beach road course in Daytona Beach, Florida. After this race, the sport began to excel with small races around the country until gaining more money, more audience. And then a big milestone was achieved a few years later in 1950 with the first 500-mile race taking place. After this race, the sport skyrocketed. Many tracks started opening around the country, expanding the sport even more. But the sport grew most during the Richard Petty era and the Dale Earnhardt era. Richard Petty was the first driver to ever win 7 championships in the sport. Dale Earnhardt was the second. Due to growing popularity in the sport, in 1961, ABC Sports aired a short part of the Firecracker 250 race. This was the first time NASCAR had ever appeared on TV. Over the coming years, it gained more fans and started to show up on TV a little more. But starting in 1999, the league signed a contract with Fox Sports to have every race televised for the world to see. This was huge. This brought a whole new audience, a whole new element to the expansion of the sport. Well, now that we've discussed the start and the early stages of NASCAR, now let's talk about what NASCAR is today. NASCAR today is a multi-million-dollar industry, with every race being televised, as well as having many different levels of racing, different leagues. This just shows how far it has come. There are currently 14 levels of NASCAR, all ranging in types of cars, skill, competitiveness. These leagues consist of the Cup Series, which is the highest level, the Xfinity Series, and the Gander RV Outdoors Truck Series, just to name a few. My best friend of many years, Harrison Burton, is currently a driver in the Xfinity Series. Growing up with him has given me a good perspective on how much it has changed in just the past few years. The endorsement deals have gotten larger, as well as having more fan meetups and more interviews and more brand deals. Harrison has also has a very rigorous schedule with practice, workouts, and races every weekend. My father was also worked in NASCAR for about 20 years in the marketing side. So I can see the change in what it was to what it's become, with better ads, more popularity, more views, up until now. At NASCAR's peak, they would have thousands of fans watching races every weekend. Today, due to the new generation of fans, it is harder to gain an audience. With less marketing and better safety, many people view the sport as dying or boring because the fear factor and the danger is reducing. It's truly sad to see the attendance of these races going down, but hopefully the new generation of fan will look into the history and appreciate the sport more. Well, that will conclude my discussion on NASCAR. Let us review. NASCAR started from the illegal business of running moonshine and has expanded vastly over the years since its conception. Fast-paced races and the rise of the legend Richard Petty brought enough attention to the sport to get it televised, which made it expand even more. And the new generation of viewer doesn't appreciate it as much and needs a new factor to pull them back in to gain the attendance. Although the attendance is declining, I challenge each of you to take time out of your day and watch a race. The speed and excitement are unmatched, and I can guarantee you will enjoy it. Thank you.